Hey everyone. I want to introduce you to Makoto. The MC first met her in the summer of 3rd grade. Ever since then, they've been inseparable. By the way, the MC is the little guy on the left. His name's Takase. In elementary school, Makoto was bursting with energy and always cheerful and bright. She was endlessly optimistic, always dragging Takase along no matter what. Back then, she was all Takase could think about. To him, she was the sun itself, brightening everything around her. When Makoto entered middle school, she became even more amazing. She was beautiful, outgoing, and excelled both academically and athletically. Honestly, she was just incredible, truly one of a kind. But everything changed when she entered high school. Makoto became clingy, always asking me to walk home with her. The confident, unstoppable girl I knew seemed to have shifted into someone completely different. After asking Takase to walk home together, Makoto would always give him the chance to say no. She would lower herself slightly, hesitating, and ask if he wouldn't want to walk home with someone like her. Takase always agreed, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something about her behavior was off. Her personality seemed to flip, sometimes leaving him wondering if she was even the same person he had known for years. Even after he agreed, she would fidget nervously, asking if he was truly fine with walking home with her, worrying that she might be a burden. Takase had to reassure her every time, telling her that she wasn't a burden and that he didn't mind. Only then would Makoto finally calm down. He always noticed a certain heaviness in the air whenever he was with her. One day, as she fidgeted and muttered under her breath, Makoto finally mustered the courage to tell Takase that she liked the game they played at his place. It had been really fun. Takase, understanding her hint, asked if she wanted to come over and continue the game from where they had left off. She nodded eagerly, agreeing. You see, Makoto and Takase have been childhood friends, who spent countless hours playing together. Even now, they still hung out, enjoying games like they always had. As they played, Makoto won the first round, and Takase laughed dryly and suggested another round. But she won again. She glanced at him mischievously, calling him a loser and asking if he was frustrated. Takase sighed, remembering that Makoto had always been good at everything. He wasn't sure he had ever beaten her in a game before. Brushing off his defeat, he got up to grab a drink, but before he knew it, Makoto was suddenly right in front of him. He was obviously startled as he barely saw her move. She quickly explained that she hadn't meant to make fun of him. Apologizing profusely, she asked if she had upset him and begged him not to hate her. Takase timidly accepted her apology. The thing that had changed the most about Makoto was that she was absolutely terrified of being hated by Takase. She asked if there was anything she could do to make it up to him, practically begging for something to do. Her fear was almost pathological. Reluctantly, Takase told her he was thirsty and asked if she could get him a drink. Makoto's face lit up, and she assured him she would handle it. She wanted to be useful. As she went to get the drink, Takase thought to himself that he could never hate her. When she returned after a long while, Makoto peeked through the doorway worriedly. Takase asked where the drink was, and she teared up, explaining that she had poured too much juice and couldn't carry it. When he asked why she made such a mistake, she replied that she just wanted him to have plenty to drink. Even with all her flaws, Makoto's earnestness and cuteness made it impossible for Takase to ever hate her. At school, Takase ran into his class representative and asked her what was up. She immediately asked whether he had turned in the festival feedback survey, and he began wondering where he had put it. Just then, Takase noticed Makoto staring right at him. One of her quirks was that she got extremely anxious whenever he talked to another girl. Takase thought quickly about how to avoid making Makoto more nervous. Then, a plan came to him. He just needed to make it obvious that he had no real interest in the conversation. Internally, he apologized to the class rep. He knew he was about to be a little cruel for Makoto's sake. Sighing, he said it was a pain and, with a sinister smile, told the class rep that when he found the paper, he'd just scribble whatever came to mind and submit it. She shrugged, saying he could do whatever he wanted since she couldn't be bothered. Takase inwardly grumbled. Wasn't the class rep supposed to be scolding him? He realized that his naturally kind-hearted nature made him terrible at being genuinely cruel. Suddenly, Makoto started approaching him, and he panicked. The situation felt dangerous. If it continued, she might start crying. His face went pale at the thought, knowing he would never forgive himself if he made her cry. The class rep noticed his sudden change in expression and asked if he was okay. That's when she saw Makoto. Flipping through her booklets, she asked Makoto whether she had submitted the survey. Makoto immediately hid behind Takase and apologized, admitting she hadn't turned it in yet. The class rep shook her head, complaining that the two of them were always like this, even during the last class decision meeting. Then she said, rather casually, that Makoto and Takase seriously suited each other. Makoto's face flushed bright red. The class rep reminded them to turn in their surveys by the end of the day and left. After she was gone, Makoto turned to Takase and quietly repeated what the class rep had said, that they suited each other. Takase realized that, in the end, all his worries had been completely unnecessary. In the next scene, Makoto caught a cold. Since she couldn't go to school, she felt lonely. Not being able to see Takase in person made her days feel dull. But because she was sick, Takase worried more than usual and showered her with attention. Makoto was genuinely happy. For once, catching a cold didn't feel so bad. Wanting even more attention, she decided to exaggerate her condition slightly, despite having only a mild fever. She sent Takase a message claiming her temperature had risen to 41 degrees Celsius. The moment Takase saw it, he panicked. 41 degrees Celsius is a medical emergency. Meanwhile, Makoto was pleased that he had replied so quickly. But when she read his message telling her to hang in there and apologizing for texting her, she felt a pang of sadness. She thought the conversation was ending and panicked, wondering how to fix it. Quickly, she sent another message clarifying that she wasn't running a high fever, she just felt a little hot or a little cold. When Takase read this, he was alarmed that she couldn't even tell whether she was hot or cold. Convinced it was life-threatening, he immediately stood up and dashed off, texting her that he was coming over. Makoto became restless at the news. He was coming over, and she didn't really have a fever. What if he found out she had lied? She imagined him calling her a vile woman for deceiving him and hating her. The thought was so overwhelming that tears welled up in her eyes. To her dismay, he arrived very quickly. Makoto felt like she was done for, imagining the worst, but she tried to console herself. At least she would get to see his face one last time. When the worried Takase asked if she was okay, she braced herself and meekly admitted that she didn't actually have a high fever, and that she was just happy that he cared about her. Take's relief was palpable. He had feared she was gravely ill, but seeing her safe eased his worry. Makoto thanked him for caring and apologized for lying, and Takase accepted her apology without hesitation. In the next scene, Makoto was sneakily poking Takase, and when he turned around, she pretended as if nothing had happened. When Takase asked her if she had poked him, she acted innocent, asking what he was talking about and insisting that it hadn't been her. But when he turned away again, she quietly laughed. Takase realized that this was Makoto's special "pay attention to me" signal, which meant she was in a good mood. Even though her cheerfulness was a good thing, he felt that if he reacted, it would be as if he were losing. Despite her irresistible cuteness, he decided to remain composed and not respond. Makoto continued poking him, but he ignored her, steadfast in his refusal to react. Seeing that he would not respond, she covered his eyes and asked him to guess who it was, yet he continued to ignore her. Eventually, she slowly lowered her hands and began to cry, asking why he was ignoring her. She hugged him and accused him of being mean. She asked if there was something about her that he did not like, and added that if that were the reason he was upset, she would change and become the kind of girl who was perfect for him. She insisted that she would change everything about herself, but Takase reassured her that it was not like that. He explained that he had been stubborn for no reason, apologized, and emphasized that there was nothing about her that he disliked. He apologized again and asked her not to cry. Makoto immediately brightened, asking if he truly did not hate her, and if he was not mad at her. He assured her that he was not. Takase had seen many sides of Makoto over the years, but since they had been children, he had always been weak to her tears. The moment she cried, he never stood a chance. Although it was a weakness, he had come to accept it as a part of himself that he did not mind. As they continued walking, Makoto poked him again, and this time, he did not ignore her. As Makoto walked behind Takase, he suddenly stopped, and she accidentally slammed into him. When he turned around, he noticed that she had a nosebleed. The hair that usually covered her right eye had parted, revealing her scar. Takase immediately blamed himself, thinking it had happened because he hadn't been careful. Makoto quickly reassured him that it was fine, explaining that it bled easily since it had also bled the night before. Despite her calm words, Takase insisted that it was his fault as he tried to stop the bleeding. The scar on the right side of Mikoto's face, which was usually hidden, dated back to middle school. At the time, she had a peculiar presence, an almost gravitational pull that drew people toward her. But not everything it attracted was good. Jealousy, envy, and other negative emotions had slowly built up around her, and the scar had been the painful result. Takase knew that Makoto wasn't to blame. He felt that the responsibility was all his. Back then, embarrassed by his own feelings for her, he had intentionally kept his distance. Even though he sensed that something strange was happening to her, he did not intervene. Part of the reason Makoto had changed over time was that Takase, her closest person during that period, had not been there to protect her. Now, he had resolved to protect her, but he still could not bring himself to confess his feelings. Doing so felt far too presumptuous, even though his desire to care for her had grown stronger than ever. Once the bleeding had stopped, Takase asked Makoto if her nose still hurt, and told her to let him know if anything else was wrong. Makoto, pleased by his concern, responded with a touch of drama, claiming she might be feeling a little dizzy. Taking advantage of the moment, she asked him if he could stay with her and watch over her for the day. For Makoto, being injured wasn't so bad, because whenever she was hurt, Takase gave her his full attention. Mikoto's middle school years were the worst. Takase had avoided her, and when she got her scar, she wanted to die. But the scar brought Takase back. Because of it, he started looking at her again. Her scarred face, in her eyes, was ruined, ugly and unlovable. She believed there was no way Takase could ever fall for her. Everything he did for her had been out of pity, and she had known it. That was why she felt she had to make sure Takase didn't hate her. She had to ensure that he would never grow tired of her. She had to remain someone pitiful, so that he would stay by her side. Even with all her flaws, she wanted to be with him forever. Yet for someone like her to hope that he would return her feelings felt far too presumptuous. In the next scene, as Makoto was using her phone and waiting for Takase to arrive, she was unaware that someone was watching her. Before she could react, a girl suddenly hugged her from behind, startling her. The girl was Mitaka, Takase's younger sister. Mitaka asked Makoto if there had been any progress between her and Takase, causing Makoto to blush. Nervously, Makoto replied that Takase was always kind and helped her whenever she was in trouble. After a moment of thought, Mitaka commented that Makoto had strange tastes. She said that, while Takase's appearance was decent, he was otherwise hopeless. After all, she had to wake him up every morning, and without her, he would be completely hopeless. But Makoto said she didn't care what anyone thought about Takase because she loved everything about him. Mitaka, breaking into a cold sweat, stammered that Makoto might not really love Takase. After all, the Takase she knew was only a small part of him. She tried to give examples of the parts of Takase that Makoto didn't know, but she couldn't. Curious, Makoto asked if Mitaka meant how Takase acted at home. Mitaka admitted that Makoto was correct. That was exactly what she had been trying to explain. Makoto, intrigued, asked her to tell her more about how Takase behaved at home. Mitaka initially acted pompous, saying that since Makoto asked, she would make an exception and tell her. But then she paled, remembering that Takase only spoke about Makoto at home, leaving her tongue-tied. Makoto reassured her, saying she would be okay with anything Mitaka shared about Takase because she wanted to understand him better. Frustrated, Mitaka threw a tantrum, complaining that Makoto and Takase were always together, doing things without including her, and leaving her out. Makoto flinched at the remark. Mitaka continued that she wanted to hang out with both of them, but before the conversation could escalate, Takase arrived and karate-chopped Mitaka's head, silencing her. He apologized to Makoto for being late and for his little sister's tantrum, then sternly warned Mitaka to stop bothering her. Makoto approached the now crying Mitaka and asked if she could talk to her for a moment. Mitaka asked what she wanted. Moving closer, Makoto whispered that she was sorry if she had upset Mitaka, that she genuinely liked her, and asked if they could be friends. Mitaka wiped away her tears and admitted she had misjudged Makoto. She confessed that she had assumed Makoto would be the kind of girl who would take any other girl beside her brother as an enemy. Then, she asked if Makoto truly wanted to be friends. Makoto smiled and said she did. After all, Mitaka was Takase's younger sister. After finishing her writing, Makoto stood up and stretched, causing Takase to inadvertently notice her curves. She quickly apologized for dragging him along to help with her assignment, and asked if he minded. Takase reassured her that he didn't mind at all. In fact, he said it was actually great, since when it was just the two of them, They could help each other with things that they didn't understand. Makoto laughed, saying that if he said so, then it must be true. After noticing that he had grown quiet for a while, she moved closer and asked if something was wrong, or if she was bothering him, and Takase quickly said that she wasn't. Despite his words, Take's thoughts betrayed him. As her childhood friend, he knew the truth about Mikoto's figure. Although they were hidden beneath her usually baggy clothes, she actually had 2 massive Mount Everests. He mentally scolded himself for thinking impure thoughts, and slammed his hands on the table in frustration. He reminded himself that Makoto was his precious childhood friend, and that he needed to protect her. He called himself a pervert for nearly losing control and resolved to stay rational. Even so, his body refused to cooperate, and he felt frustrated at his own helplessness. He hated feeling powerless in the face of Mikoto's allure and mentally apologized to her for being trash. Just then, Makoto called out to him. Takase flinched and apologized before asking what was wrong. She asked if he thought the room was hot. Takase admitted that it was, explaining that just opening the window wouldn't be enough, and asked if she wanted him to turn on the AC. Makoto said it was fine. She could simply remove a layer of clothing. When she took off her sweater, Takase realized he already lost the battle. Later that night, Takase retrieved a tissue and baby oil, intent on acting on his impulses. Midway, his sister suddenly opened the door and called him for dinner. He panicked, yelling at her not to just barge in like that, but the interruption left him unable to continue. Takase noticed Mikoto smiling brightly and asked if something good had happened. Makoto explained that her mother had been talking to her a lot lately, even sending her messages. Mikoto's mother was a single parent. Her father had passed away when Makoto was in 3rd grade. Since then, her mother had buried herself and worked to cope with the loss, leaving Makoto feeling neglected. Takase recalled visiting Mikoto's house often in elementary school, yet he had never met her mother. Now, he guessed that she had changed. Perhaps her daughter's recent injury had made her realize that she had failed to protect her. Makoto, brimming with excitement, showed Takase a message her mother just sent. Seeing the text, it almost looked like something a stalker would send. Afterwards, Takase walked Makoto home and waved goodbye. Inside, Makoto was greeted by her mother, who was relieved she had arrived safely, though Makoto found her reaction a little dramatic. Her mother suggested they eat together, and Makoto agreed. She had ordered Mikoto's favorite food from a restaurant, promising it would be delicious. After the meal, Makoto thanked her mother and offered to do the dishes. Her mother gently refused, saying it was too dangerous, warning that Makoto could cut herself on a fork or a knife. She insisted Makoto relax while she cleaned up. When Makoto tried to argue, her mother reminded her that she no longer needed to suffer, so Makoto reluctantly gave up. Later, as Makoto tried to start her homework, her mother offered to help and told her to ask about anything she didn't understand. Makoto agreed. Once the homework was finished, her mother suggested reading a picture book together, and Makoto reluctantly went along. When it was time for a bath, her mother offered to bathe with her. As night fell and it became late, Makoto wanted to go to bed early so she could see Takase the next day, but decided to make a quick phone call first. Her mother entered the room and offered to sleep beside her, and Makoto reluctantly agreed. Lying in bed, Makoto noticed her mother staring at her and asked what was wrong. Her mother remembered the time when Makoto had gotten her scar. She had asked why Makoto hadn't come to her for help or told her before things got so bad. At the time, Makoto had cried and explained that it was because her mother was never around. Returning to the present, her mother reassured Makoto that everything would be okay now, that she was here for her. She promised to give Makoto everything she hadn't been able to provide before, encouraging her to do more and not hold back. Internally, Makoto realized that her mother's attention was driven by guilt. She was desperately seeking Makoto's love. She was trying to make up for the past. Yet Makoto didn't mind. Simply being with her mother made her happy. When her mother finally fell asleep, Makoto whispered good night and decided to call Takase. Takase sat drinking coffee, glancing at the clock as he waited for Makoto's call. When the time finally came, his phone rang, and he quickly answered. Makoto apologized for calling so late again, explaining that she had felt a little lonely before bed. Takase reassured her that it was fine and agreed to talk for a while. You see, 4 or 7 times a week, Makoto would call him. Talking with her until she fell asleep had become a part of his daily routine. Although it might sound exhausting, he actually enjoyed it, and when she didn't call, he found himself worrying. He considered it a normal part of youth, at least for him. They spoke for a little over an hour, and when he was certain she had fallen asleep, he tried to end the call. But then, a voice spoke up, asking him not to hang up. It was Mikoto's mother. She introduced herself, and thanked him for looking after Mikoto. She said she had something to discuss about Mikoto's school life and asked if he had a moment. Takase reluctantly agreed, inwardly complaining about the overtime. But he reasoned that since it was about Makoto, it was worth listening. The call dragged on far longer than expected, almost 4 straight hours, until the sun began to rise. Takase tried to end the conversation several times, but Mikoto's mother's persuasive skills kept the call going. Eventually, she apologized for keeping him so long and explained that she had done awful things to her daughter in the past. She wanted to make it up to Mikoto and understand her better as her mother. Takase realized she was genuinely trying her best and couldn't fault her, so he decided to continue listening. Mikoto's mother spiraled emotionally, even breaking into tears over how much she felt she had let Makoto down. Takase reassured her, telling her not to be so hard on herself and that the very fact she was trying now was already admirable. After a while, he noticed there was no response, and then he heard the sound of snoring. Annoyed, he realized that she had fallen asleep. Checking the time, he sighed. Morning had arrived, but he decided to sleep for about an hour. Before he could doze off, his younger sister, Mitaka, barged into his room. She cheerfully announced that she had woken up earlier than usual, and decided to give him a morning call. Takase looked at her lifelessly, and when she saw he was already awake, she complained that he was no fun. In frustration, he grabbed her and punished her, prompting Mitaka to scream and ask why he took out his stress on her 99% of the time. It was Saturday, the day Makoto was supposed to visit Take's place. On these Saturday visits, Makoto usually spent most of her time in his room. Takase, fully aware of the situation, decided to make the most of it. First, he brought out a memory foam cushion to reduce fatigue from prolonged sitting and to protect Makoto's comfort. Although it had cost him 10,000 yen, he considered it a necessary sacrifice. Next, he borrowed an air purifier from the living room, reasoning that if Makoto ever complained about any unpleasant smell in his room, he would be mortified. His secret weapon, however, was 10 baked puddings from Makoto's favorite cake shop. But when he opened the fridge, all of them were gone. Takase was dumbfounded. It seemed impossible unless some supernatural rift had swallowed them. Just then, Mitaka returned home. Takase greeted her and asked if she had seen the puddings. With a thumbs up, she admitted that she had eaten every last one. Takase could only sigh. His sister was truly a gluttonous demon. He pondered his options. Buying more was impossible. The cake shop was a 2-hour round trip, and Makoto would arrive in about an hour. With no other choice, he decided to make the puddings himself. As he cooked, Mitaka peeked in and asked if he was making chawanmushi. Annoyed, Takase called her an idiot and told her she wouldn't get any. Then Mitaka mentioned that Makoto's mom was calling, which left Takase baffled. She asked why he even had her number, and teased that it was creepy. Takase explained that he didn't have a choice. Makoto's mom had begged him for it on her knees. He answered the call, introducing himself politely and asking what had happened. Makoto's mom explained that Makoto had a fever. Although she had wanted Makoto to visit, she couldn't risk her getting worse, as the stress would be unbearable. Meanwhile, Makoto herself was throwing a tantrum, insisting on going over. Takase told her mother to please convey his hopes that Makoto would feel better soon. Exhausted, Takase turned to Mitaka and said he was making chawanmushi, asking if she wanted some. This was the first time Mitaka had ever seen her brother look so emotionally drained. Makoto apologized to Takase for not being able to come over and hang out with him. He reassured her that it was okay. Her health came first. To make it up to him, she brought a lot of sweets so that the two of them could enjoy them together. Takase rejoiced. Sweets always tasted better after school. Makoto asked if she had helped and made him happy. Takase smiled and replied that she had, and that they should eat right away. Just then, a shadowy figure wearing glasses approached them. It was their class representative, who mumbled that sweets after school were wonderful. Takase was surprised to see her, and when he noticed how intently she was staring at them, he quickly apologized and suggested they go somewhere else. As Takase told Makoto they couldn't stay and needed to find another spot to eat, the class rep stopped them, saying they couldn't leave. When Takase asked why, she fell into deep thought, unsure of how to respond. She couldn't possibly admit that it was because she secretly shipped the two of them. She blamed herself for being so foolish. But seeing how perfect they looked together, she felt compelled to say something, even though she had sworn not to interfere with her one true pair. By speaking up, she had become an annoying fan crashing their little date. The class rep stuttered and told them to just stay there. Takase, puzzled, asked if she was after their snacks, and she immediately denied it. Internally, she wished he would just ignore her. She couldn't understand how he hadn't noticed Mikoto's nervousness. She mentally scolded him, thinking that he had been too soft on everyone since elementary school. His priority should be Makoto. He should talk to no one else and keep his eyes on her. Still, she found it incredibly cute how Makoto clung to Takase. She knew the two of them were in love. They were just too stubborn to admit it. They were probably thinking that they weren't good enough for each other or didn't deserve each other, though she understood why. Especially after everything Makoto had gone through, she felt they needed to move forward, even if it was messy. They were just one step away from breaking down the fake wall between them. Suddenly, the class rep dashed off. Takase, surprised, asked where she was going. She responded casually that she was going to the restroom. Makoto, noticing her speed, remarked on how fast she was. Though the class rep was just a lowly shipper, all she could do was pray with all her heart that Takase and Makoto would hurry up, confess their feelings, date, get married, and live happily ever after. The next scene began with Makoto happily eating her lunch while Takase just stared at her. He called out, telling her that people who eat cutely are nice. Makoto immediately overthought it. She reasoned that if Takase liked people who ate cutely, it must mean he liked girls like that more than her, which, in turn, meant he would hate her and abandon her. In her frantic calculations, Makoto concluded that the only solution was to die. But of course, she didn't want to die. So instead, she wondered what she could do to prove that she was more valuable than the hypothetical girl in question. With that in mind, Makoto asked Takase if she had bigger jigglers than the other girl. Takase, caught completely off guard, spit out what he was drinking and asked what she was suddenly talking about. Timidly, she asked if he didn't like big jigglers. Reluctantly, he said he didn't hate them, though internally, he was thinking that he absolutely loved them. Makoto, seeing his reaction, was delighted that her plan seemed to be working. She then asked if he wanted to touch them. Takase immediately rejected the idea, saying he could never. But Makoto reassured him that if it was him, it would be fine. Flustered, Takase stammered that she couldn't just spring something like that on him out of nowhere. He tried to calm himself, but couldn't help wondering what Makoto was thinking, asking him that so suddenly. Just then, he noticed that she was blushing. Confused, he asked why she was the one blushing when she was the one who brought it up. Makoto, equally flustered, apologized and stammered that she had gotten caught up in the moment. After a tense silence, Takase felt the atmosphere growing awkward. Just then, the bell rang. He reminded Makoto that class was starting, so they needed to hurry. She flusteredly agreed, and as they left, Takase silently wondered why their conversation had even started talking about jigglers in the first place. When Takase went home, he lay on his bed, remembering how Makoto had asked him if he wanted to touch her jigglers. Despite his hesitation, he reluctantly picked up his phone and placed an order. The next day, Takase nervously waited for the delivery, and when he heard the doorbell, he ran to the mailbox with almost supernatural speed to retrieve it. Just as he was about to check the contents, Makoto, who had appeared at the door, asked him what he had gotten. Takase immediately panicked, asking her what she was doing there. Makoto explained that she had been curious about what he was doing and before she knew it, she had somehow ended up at his house. She then asked him if that was creepy. Takase hid the package behind him and told her that it wasn't creepy at all, that it was just a normal day without anything unusual happening. Makoto asked why he was hiding something behind him, and Takase stuttered as he struggled to come up with an explanation. She then asked if what he was hiding was a dirty magazine, which caused him to start sweating. Makoto tried to take the package from him and asked what kind of things he liked, saying that she wanted him to tell her so she could match his interests. She insisted that she would do her best to make him like her even more. Takase, flustered, called her an idiot and told her that it wasn't something to joke about. Eventually, Makoto managed to grab the package from him. When she saw the title, which read Bangs Covered Childhood Friend with Big Jigglers, Makoto blushed. Takase also blushed but told her that it wasn't weird, since he was a guy. Makoto felt a strange sense of satisfaction, thinking that even if she wasn't the one Takase loved, at least he still looked at her that way. With a mischievous smile, she asked him to lend her his hand. When he gave it to her, she placed it on her jiggler. Surprised, Takase quickly pulled his hand back and asked what she was doing. She didn't answer and simply dashed away. From a corner, she waved goodbye and told him that she would see him tomorrow. Left alone, Takase glanced at his dirty magazine and muttered that it couldn't compare to the real thing. He sighed as he walked into his house, muttering in frustration, "Damn it, Makoto." Part 2 begins. Back when Takase touched Mikoto's jigglers, he collapsed from a fever. The reason for his fever wasn't sexual excitement, but rather that his brain couldn't process the information. His vision kept insisting that it was a daydream, while his sense of touch insisted that it was real. The clash between the two created so much friction and chaos that his brain overheated. As Take's mother checked his temperature, she said that he had a terrible fever and that he should stay home for the day. But Takase refused. He said that there was no way he could stay home and rest when Makoto was waiting for him. With a scary smile, his mother told him not to leave, and that if he left, he would die. And that if he didn't rest, she would kill him. At that, Takase kept his mouth shut. Just then, Take's younger sister, Mitaka, walked into the room and informed him that Makoto had arrived, asking what should be done. Take's mom said that it was fine and that she would handle Makoto herself. But Takase immediately stopped her, saying that there was no way that was okay. He explained that Makoto came all the way just to see him, so he had to at least show her that he cared. His mother responded by putting him in a headlock as she told him that the sick should behave, and as he struggled to break free, he protested that that wasn't how she should treat a sick person. Meanwhile, as Makoto waited, she wondered why Takase wasn't coming out and whether something had happened to him. As she blushed, she also wondered if she had done something outrageous the day before. Just then, Take's mother creepily appeared beside her and called out to her. Makoto screamed in fright, while Take's mother hummed calmly. Take's mother explained that Takase was bedridden and that a lot of things had happened. Makoto timidly said that she understood and that she would go home, since she didn't want to cause trouble. Take's mother asked her what she was talking about and told her to come in, which baffled Makoto. She then creepily explained that Takase was weak at the moment, and that this was Mikoto's chance. Makoto went inside while apologizing for the intrusion. When she saw Takase up and about, she was surprised. She said that he looked weak and asked if he wasn't feeling sick, but he played ignorant and asked what she was talking about. Makoto explained that his mother said he was bedridden, and Takase replied that his mother was joking and that he was completely fine. At that moment, his mother appeared behind him and karate chopped his neck, telling him to behave himself. When Takase collapsed, Makoto and Mitaka called out to him in worry, but his mother coldly said that acting tough would only make it worse and that he should rest quietly. Takase weakly muttered that she was the one beating him up the most. As Takase lay on the bed, he exclaimed that his mom was nuts, and Makoto laughed in agreement. Makoto worriedly asked Takase if he was okay, adding that if anything happened to him, she would die with him. Takase stammered that he was okay and that he would get better soon. Makoto said that she wanted to do something for him, but admitted that she was no help at all and apologized. Takase told her that wasn't true and that just seeing her face made him feel better. Internally though, he found it strange. Makoto was technically the reason for his illness, yet somehow, seeing her was comforting. Takase unknowingly muttered that Makoto was always in his heart, and when she heard that, she became flustered. Takase hurriedly explained that he just meant to show his gratitude and thank her for coming over, and Makoto replied that it was fine. Takase wondered if it was because of the fever and felt embarrassed for blurting out whatever was on his mind. Takase told Makoto that it would be dangerous once it got dark and that she should go home, since he would be fine. Makoto said that she wouldn't mind staying over all night, but when she checked her phone, she saw that her mother had spammed her with messages expressing how worried she was. Noticing her expression, Takase asked what was wrong, and Makoto explained that it was her mother. Takase immediately understood and asked her to go home, reassuring her that her mother was worried and promising that he would be better by the next time they met. Hearing his direct request, Makoto hesitated. Eventually, she agreed to go home, since she didn't want to cause any more trouble for Takase and his family. Before leaving, she leaned in and whispered into Take's ear that he should get well soon, then she immediately dashed off. Left alone, Takase wondered why she had gotten so close and what she had just done, realizing that his fever had probably worsened. He admitted to himself that no matter how much he tried to hide it, he truly had feelings for Makoto. Just then, his mom silently opened the door and with a creepy smile, asked if they did it, leaving Takase wondering what the heck she was talking about. As Makoto peeked at her jigglers, she once again realized just how big they were, and that Takase liked them big. She thought that maybe her jigglers could be her greatest weapon, and decided that if it ever seemed like Takase hated her, she would use her body to push herself on him. She swore to use her jiggler power if the situation ever called for it. Taking out her phone, even though she felt embarrassed, she considered sending some risque selfies. Makoto wondered what kind of reaction Takase would have, and when she imagined him using them for his night activities, she giggled, calling him a pervert. But she decided not to show her face in the selfies. Just then, Makoto's mother walked in and told her that dinner was ready, asking if she wanted to eat together. But when she saw what Makoto was doing, she freaked out. She immediately grabbed Makoto, shouting that she shouldn't sell her body and that no matter how hard things got, that was the one thing she should never do. Makoto's mother said that it was all her fault as a parent and begged Makoto not to do something like that. She said she would carry all of Makoto's pain for her and take her place in everything. Declaring this, she decided that she would be the one to strip instead of Makoto, which completely shocked Makoto. Makoto immediately grabbed her mother and told her to think about her age, but her mother resisted, insisting that Makoto should let her go so she could strip. After a lot of struggling, Makoto finally managed to calm her mother down. Even so, her mom continued to insist that Makoto selling her body was forbidden. She explained that digital footprints were terrifying and that Takase would be devastated if he ever found out. Makoto tried to explain, but she was tongue-tied. Her mother was under the misunderstanding that Makoto was doing something dangerous on the internet. Makoto wanted to clear things up, but the problem was that she couldn't tell her mother what she was actually trying to do, since that wasn't appropriate either. So, she wondered what she should do. While Makoto thought things over, her mother commented that the situation was dangerous and that she would need to call Takase again for advice. At that, Makoto asked her to wait and questioned how she even had Takase's contact information. At that moment, her mother broke into a cold sweat. That night, unsettling messages arrived on Takase's phone. At school, the class rep handed Takase and Makoto the class notes for the 2 days they had been absent and asked them to copy them. Takase thanked her, and she commented that Takase and Makoto always seemed to be absent at the same time. Makoto, meanwhile, thought that there was no point in going to school if Takase wasn't there. The class rep scolded Takase, warning him not to start thinking that this was normal, and he timidly agreed. The class rep explained that she was only taking notes for him because Makoto was there, and Takase apologized, admitting that he had gotten a little too comfortable. Just then, Makoto called out and asked them what their relationship was. At that, they froze. Breaking into a cold sweat, Takase explained that he and the class rep had an inseparable connection dating back to middle school. Makoto said she understood, explaining that she wasn't in the same middle school, so she wouldn't know. Takase cursed internally. He realized that he had stepped on a landmine, since talking about middle school with Makoto was a taboo. The class rep hurriedly explained that it wasn't like that, and that she didn't really have a good relationship with Takase. As she struggled to find the right words, she said that to Takase, she was just a convenient woman. Takase immediately told her that what she was saying wasn't helping at all, and the two literally got into a fight. Makoto wondered if the class rep liked Takase, and if so, whether that was why she took notes for him. As Makoto examined the notes, she noticed a drawing that looked familiar. In a flashback, she remembered apologizing to Takase for making him bring her notes every day because she was too scared to return to school. Takase said that it was fine, since he wasn't the only one helping out. Back then, she had noticed that Takase always drew a cute rabbit in math class and wondered if it was a habit. Suddenly, Makoto gasped with realization. Takase and the class rep stopped arguing and asked if something was wrong. Makoto mentally decided that she would never give Takase to anyone else. She asked the class rep if she and Takase were friends. Confused, the class rep said that they were, and Makoto nodded. Then, Makoto asked the class rep if they could be friends, which surprised her. Makoto asked if she didn't want to. The class rep said she didn't mind and asked if Makoto was sure. The class rep explained that from Makoto's perspective, she didn't think Makoto would see her as a good person. Makoto said that it was fine, and that if it was her, then she was okay with it. Makoto asked if they could be friends again. The class rep agreed, and Makoto happily asked for her name. The class rep introduced herself as Kamiki Rin, and Makoto said it was nice to meet her. Internally, she thanked the class rep for helping both her and Takase. Meanwhile, Takase was overwhelmed with emotion and cried quietly, because Makoto had made her first same-gender friend in high school. In the next scene, Takase called out to Makoto. When she answered, he timidly confessed that he loved her and wanted to go out with her. Makoto interrupted him, saying that everything was too convenient for him. She accused him of standing by while she was bullied, taking advantage of her when she was weak, and being a coward. She said that he threw away his responsibility for ruining her bright future, and now he wanted to be happy by himself while forcing that happiness onto her as well. Takase stammered that it wasn't his intention, but Makoto coldly asked what his intention actually was. She mocked him, asking if he wanted to say that he had loved her all along, and if he was stupid. She said that feelings meant nothing if they weren't spoken. She asked if he understood, stating that she was hurt because of him, and that her life was ruined by him. Makoto declared that there was no way she could ever love him, and that she had always hated him deep down because everything was his fault. Takase could only cry and apologize over and over. Just then, he woke up screaming Makoto's name. Panting, he tried to calm himself, realizing that it was just another dream. His sister walked in and told him that breakfast was ready, and he replied that he would be down soon. As they ate, his mother, father, and sister noticed that he seemed down, and they mentally confirmed that it was one of Take's dream days again. According to the Hakubian family rule, Takase has nightmares about 4 times a month, and on those days, the entire family must treat him gently. Following the rule, his sister, mother, and father all offered him their sausages. Confused, Takase asked why they were suddenly giving him sausages. His father said he liked sausages. His sister said meat would give him energy. And his mother said it was a source of protein. After some hesitation, Takase admitted that he liked sausages. Mitaka told Takase that he was handsome and tall, and that her friends always talked about him. His father said that Takase had a good heart and a strong, unwavering core. His mother said that he had a big holy sword, which completely baffled him. Mitaka complained that their mom should at least give a proper compliment, but their mother insisted that it was the highest praise for a man, and Mitaka told her that there were better ways to say it. Just then, Take's mother called out to him again, saying she had something else to tell him. She said that the past was the past and couldn't be redone, so he should focus on what lay ahead. She told him that there were many things he could still do and change, and that even if he had hurt someone precious, he hadn't lost them yet. Seeing that Takase was still gloomy, his father and Mitaka exchanged a glance, and Mitaka told him to eat and get ready. She asked if he was going out with Makoto today, and he said that he was. Before he left, Take's mother stopped him and creepily told him that from now on, he absolutely had to make Makoto happy, or else she would personally stab him. Takase paled and broke out into a cold sweat, but his mother demanded an answer, and he immediately said that he understood. His father dragged him away and whispered that he should be careful, because his mother would probably actually do it. From that day on, the number of nightmares Takase had began to decrease, just a little. It had been about 3 months since Takase started high school, and even as a Mikoto's first kind of guy, he had gradually become familiar with his classmates' faces. Lately, however, something had been bothering him. Whenever he called out to the boys, they scattered like rabbits. The girls wouldn't even look him in the eye and completely ignored him. Takase wondered whether it was just his imagination or if everyone was being cold towards him. They treated him like something fragile, and he wondered if it meant he was hated. And that wasn't the only strange thing happening. Just then, Makoto suddenly got a nosebleed. Takase told her to wait while he fixed it, but he cursed when he realized he didn't have any tissues. As he panicked, a brand new pack of tissues appeared out of nowhere. And this wasn't limited to tissues, something similar had happened before. Once, Makoto had exclaimed that she forgot her eraser. Takase offered to lend her his, and she was thrilled. But when Takase checked his pencil case, he found a poop-shaped eraser with a curry scent, immediately realizing it was his sister's doing. He couldn't give Makoto something like that, but he also couldn't go back on his word. He hissed, unsure of what to do. Just then, he noticed something move behind him. When he turned around, nothing was there. He wondered if it was his imagination. Makoto asked if something was wrong, and Takase brushed it off. But when he checked his pencil case again, he found a brand new eraser inside. Whenever something happened involving Makoto, the perfect item he needed always mysteriously appeared. Back in the present, as Takase wiped Makoto's nose, he found the situation unsettling but decided not to dwell on it. Everything was strange lately, so he chose to focus on Makoto instead. When he finished, he suggested they go to the nurse's office just in case, and she agreed. As they walked away, a voice asked if they were gone, and another confirmed they were. Other voices commented on the nice tissues, and someone said it was time for their usual prayers. Soon, the voices began chanting that Takase and Makoto should get together. You see, Takase and Makoto don't know it yet, but the entire class is slowly closing the net around them. In the next scene, we see Makoto laughing. Takase, who was beside her, asked why she was grinning and why she'd been smiling non-stop. Makoto replied that she was just happy he was coming over to her house. You see, Takase and Makoto usually hung out alone at one of their houses after school. But it was never truly just the two of them, since there was always someone else around, and that always killed the mood. Today, however, was the last day of exams with a morning dismissal, so Makoto's mom wouldn't be home from work yet. In other words, it was their dream moment. Their alone time had finally arrived. But when they walked into Makoto's house, they were greeted by Makoto's mother. Surprised, Makoto asked why she was home. Her mother explained that she had quite a few unused vacation days from work. Hearing that, Makoto asked why it had to be today of all days. She sighed gloomily and told Takase that she would go get her room ready, so he should wait for a bit. Takase agreed, noticing how sharply her mood dropped. As Takase stood beside Makoto's mother, he realized that he had been left behind. Seeing how close Makoto's mother was standing, Takase asked if there was anything he could help her with. Makoto's mother replied that she had no idea that even though Makoto was so lonely, Takase had been coming over before, and that she was the worst, a total failure of a mother. Takase responded that it wasn't too late, and that there was still time to make things right. After a moment of silence, Makoto's mother asked why Takase wasn't scolding her more harshly. Takase wondered what she was talking about. Makoto's mother insisted that she was a terrible person and that he should insult her more, adding that it would be better if he even punished her. Takase was completely baffled by where this was coming from. As Makoto's mother calmed down, she apologized, explaining that at her age, there was no one who properly scolded her anymore. Because of that, she felt crushed by guilt, and she believed that even Makoto would be justified in hitting her. Takase asked what she was saying and added that he wasn't the type of person who could blame mothers like that. But Makoto's mother insisted he was wrong and begged him to punish her. She specifically told him to spank her multiple times while insulting her, shouting, "You vulgar woman, aren't you ashamed at 38 years of age?" Just then, Makoto returned and asked her mother what she was doing. Takase and Makoto's mother broke out into cold sweats. Makoto calmly told her mother that if she did weird things to Takase, she would get angry. Makoto's mother said it wasn't like that and she struggled to explain herself, completely tongue-tied. In the end, she claimed that Takase said he wanted to stay for dinner, which shocked Takase. Makoto lit up and asked Takase if he was sure, saying that he'd be staying until it was late. Laughing, she added that he'd be spending a long time at her place. Takase realized he'd been used as a convenient excuse, but since Makoto's mood had recovered, he decided to accept it as a win. Makoto's mother told Takase to let her know if there was anything he wanted to eat so she could cook it. Makoto said anything was fine, since her mother was good at pretty much everything. Makoto's mom blushed and said she'd listen to anything he asked of her, but Makoto immediately told her to shut up. In the end, Takase asked for a hamburger steak. Makoto told her mother to make it the absolute best, and she agreed. As Takase and Makoto sat together, Makoto stared at him, thinking that the home theater setup was really nice. But even though the mood was good, she was still disappointed that they weren't actually alone. Just then, Takase said he felt relieved. Makoto asked what he meant. He replied that he was relieved she seemed to be getting along with her mother better than he expected. Makoto said they were getting along, though it had been awkward at first. She added that her mother was emotionally dependent on her, and kind of unstable, and that she felt her mom used to be more normal. Takase realized once again that Makoto and her mother were definitely related. And for some reason, he couldn't stop associating Makoto's mother with butts now. But it was fine. After all, he was looking forward to the hamburger steak. As Takase ate the hamburger steak, he thought it was incredibly good, restaurant quality. Makoto's mother asked if it tasted okay, admitting she was a little worried since it had been a while. Takase thought that, just like Makoto, her mom was a natural-born genius. He told her the meal was delicious, and when Makoto's mom let out a strange moan, Makoto told her to stop making weird noises. Takase thought it was dangerous, since Makoto's family was clearly trying to win him over through his stomach. Makoto's mother told him that from now on, he could come over any time, and she'd always give him something delicious. Makoto immediately asked her mom if she was thinking about anything weird. Takase noticed that while Makoto was emotional with him, she was surprisingly unsentimental with her mother. After dinner, Takase thanked them for the meal and said that he would head home before he overstayed his welcome. Makoto grabbed his arm and asked him to stay a little longer. Takase said they'd see each other the next day, but Makoto replied that they didn't even know if they'd be alive by then, so they should stay together now. As Makoto clung to Takase, her mother thought that Makoto had gotten to spend extra time with the boy she loved, which was why parting felt so difficult. As her mother, she felt she had to honor those feelings and be useful. Meanwhile, Takase tried to reassure Makoto that he wasn't going to die, saying that even if he didn't look it, he was actually pretty tough. Before he could finish speaking, Makoto's mother suddenly whacked him on the head with a frying pan. Takase grabbed his head as Makoto asked if he was okay. Makoto stammered, demanding to know why her mother would hit someone with a frying pan out of nowhere, and what she would do if Takase got hurt. Makoto's mother shivered and apologized, explaining that she thought if she knocked him out, he wouldn't be able to leave, and that she acted while thinking about Makoto. Makoto coldly asked what she was talking about, and what she would do if something happened to Takase because of her. In her anger, she nearly asked what kind of mother she was, but Takase stopped her by grabbing her hands. Makoto blushed. Takase thought that he didn't want Makoto to say something like that because of him. He told her he had changed his mind and would stay a little longer. Makoto giggled and asked if he was sure. He replied that he was, and that it was all thanks to the frying pan. Makoto asked if he was really okay, and Takase said his mother's karate chops hit much harder. You see, Takase is really tough. At school, the class rep told Makoto that she had 2 discount tickets for Tokyo Manhwa Land. Makoto said it was amazing and asked how she got them. The class rep ignored the question and replied that she was giving both tickets to Makoto, which confused her. She asked if Makoto understood what she meant. Makoto wondered if she wanted to resell them, but the class rep said that wasn't it. She explained that Makoto should use the tickets to invite Takase on a date during the next holiday. Makoto blushed and stammered, asking what she was talking about. She said that she and Takase weren't even dating yet, and there was no way she'd invite him on a date. She said she absolutely wouldn't invite him on a date. On the next holiday, Takase and Makoto went on a date. Takase said that the place was amazing and that it was his first time there. Makoto said it was her first time too. Makoto wanted to go on a date with Takase, so she obviously invited him. There was no way she'd pass up such a sweet deal. Takase said that he didn't know that they had discount tickets, and he thanked her for inviting him. Makoto worried that she was making him spend his precious day off, and that even with discounts, the tickets weren't free. She wanted to make sure he didn't get bored and decided to make sure he enjoyed every attraction. And so, they went around the theme park, enjoying everything it had to offer. Well, at least until Makoto started feeling sick. At the end of the day, Takase told Makoto that he had fun. When he noticed she looked like she might cry, he asked what was wrong. Wiping her tears, Makoto apologized, saying that because of her, they could barely go on any rides. She said Takase gave up his precious day off and wasted his time and money. She asked if he was bored and said he must have been annoyed being stuck with someone useless like her. She apologized, saying she wanted him to enjoy himself more. Striking a triumphant pose, Takase told her she was wrong and that he had fun. Makoto said that he didn't need to flatter her, since they didn't really do much. But Takase said it wasn't like that. After thinking for a moment, he asked if she knew about shooting games at festivals. She said she did. Takase explained that he used to play those games with his father, and they never won anything. He thought it was a waste of money and unproductive, but his father always smiled and said they should do it again sometime. Seeing Makoto's confusion, Takase apologized and said it came out awkwardly. He explained that it wasn't about the rides or getting their money's worth. Spending time with her was what mattered. Walking around together and chatting was enough. He said that if money mattered, then he paid for a meaningful, fun day and got his money's worth with change to spare. He asked Makoto if she had fun. Makoto said she did, and that playing together like they used to was really fun. Takase said he understood and suggested they come again someday. Makoto agreed, saying she'd like that. Nearby, the class rep secretly watched them and admitted that she was glad that things turned out well. You see, the class rep paid for the tickets herself. When Takase got home, he lay on his bed, wondering if the day had really been fun. Then he remembered what he told Makoto during their date. He blushed, realizing he said something incredibly lame while trying to sound cool. Still, since Makoto seemed fine and things went well, he figured it couldn't have been that bad. She even agreed with him. But then he wondered if she just went along with it, and smiled politely because she didn't understand him. When he remembered that he suddenly started telling her about random stories from the past, he was embarrassed. He wondered what kind of stupid shooting game story that even was and wished a ricochet would end him. He reassured himself that the day being fun was undeniable. One moment of shame didn't erase everything else. After all, nothing was more fun than spending a day off with Makoto. He couldn't help thinking of it as a date. Even if he felt gross by his own standards, it was okay because it was fun. Then he paused. He imagined himself making a gross face the entire time. And he wondered if Makoto felt sick because of it. If so, then what was the best day for him might have been the worst for her. The more he thought about it, the creepier everything felt. Unable to tear his pillow apart, he threw it at the wall instead. When he finally calmed down, he wondered if the outing hadn't actually been fun for Makoto, and if he'd just gotten carried away. Depressed, he sighed. Just then, Takase received a message from Makoto. She thanked him for the day, saying she had so much fun and that she wasn't lying. It was the best day ever. She asked if they could do it again sometime, adding that if he didn't enjoy it, he didn't have to force himself. Takase smiled, relieved that maybe he wasn't that gross after all. Meanwhile, Makoto worried whether Takase would think she was gross. At school, the class rep finished arranging her books and glanced over at Makoto and Takase talking together. She wore a smug smile, pleased that the distance between them had clearly shrunk. The date plan had been a huge success. She hoped things would keep progressing well. Takase always looked his best when he was with Makoto, and she loved his smile. More than that, she admired how devoted and earnest he was toward Makoto. There was no way Makoto, the girl he adored, wasn't the best. No, Makoto had to be the best. She considered that what she felt might be romantic, but it was directed toward Takase as he was now, straightforward and devoted to Makoto. She couldn't love a Takase who wasn't like that. So, she decided to keep shipping them. A world where Takase looked at anyone other than Makoto would betray the canon. That meant she wasn't in love with Takase himself, but with the preciousness of Takase and Makoto together. Just then, Takase called out to her, startling her. She'd been so lost in thought that she hadn't noticed. She stammered and asked what he needed. Takase explained that his holy sword was ready for action, and the class rep asked him why. Takase said that Makoto had been closer than usual, and her scent made him active. The class rep blushed and asked why he was telling her this. Takase said that Makoto was a girl and he begged the class rep to cover for him with Makoto so she wouldn't find out. He didn't want Makoto to think that he suddenly hunched over and left because of his holy sword, since it'd be the end of him if she knew. At that, the class rep reminded him that she was also a girl. Takase ignored that and pleaded with her, saying it was for Makoto's sake. She wondered how that made any sense, since it was completely personal, and his handsome face only made it worse. But she couldn't refuse. Once he said it was for Makoto, her body moved on its own. For the sake of their relationship, she'd do anything. She reluctantly agreed to cover for him. As Takase walked away, he thanked her and said he was heading to the bathroom. She sighed, reminding herself that she was just a helpless shipper. As long as Takase was happy, that was enough. Still, if she could be a little selfish, she hoped she could give a speech at their wedding and be the godparent to their kids, maybe even end up with one of them. As her thoughts spiraled, she wondered how she should explain Take's situation to Makoto. When Takase returned, Makoto asked if his kidney stones were okay. Takase froze, wondering what on earth the class rep had told her. As Makoto lay in the bath, she remembered Takase telling her that it was fun being with her. She thought that if Takase found being together fun, then that meant he didn't hate being with her. She believed that had to be true, and she laughed to herself, muttering that she loved Takase so much. She thought that maybe she could finally have a closer, more honest conversation with him. But then she suddenly got a nosebleed. Complaining about losing her cool again, she went to the sink to look for tissues. When she caught sight of her reflection, she froze. She spoke quietly to herself, wondering what she was getting so worked up about. After all, she and Takase could never have that kind of relationship. She thought that the only reason Takase said it was fun to be with her was because they were childhood friends, and that she was just using up the goodwill from their past. Above all, she believed it was only because Takase was such a good person that he hadn't abandoned someone as ugly as her, and still stayed by her side. She was clinging to that kindness. She convinced herself that if a better girl ever appeared in front of Takase, she would be cast aside. But she didn't want to be abandoned. She didn't want to be hated. She didn't want to be alone again, and she didn't want him to leave her. Crying, she whispered that she wanted to be with Takase forever. As Makoto sobbed, her mother overheard her. That night, Takase received a call from Mikoto's mother. As he answered, he wondered if something was wrong. Mikoto's mother apologized for calling so suddenly and asked if he could come over for Mikoto right away, saying she would drive him. As Takase struggled to respond, Mikoto's mother apologized again and added that she was already there. When Takase looked out his window, he saw her waving at him with a smile. At Mikoto's house, Takase greeted her, and she was startled, wondering why he was there so late at night. Takase laughed awkwardly and said that he didn't really know either, since he had just been brought there. He asked if something had happened. Makoto glanced at her mother, suspecting she had done something again. Makoto thought Takase must be angry for being called out so late. She immediately apologized and asked if her mother had been a bother. Takase said it wasn't a problem at all and that he was just surprised by how proactive her mother was. When Makoto asked if he was sure, he said he was, adding that he was worried something had happened to her, but he was relieved she was safe. Makoto said that Takase was a really good person, and that for someone as worthless as her, it was more than she deserved. Takase asked what she was talking about, and what had really happened. Makoto admitted that she was always taking advantage of his kindness. Takase told her she was wrong, saying it wasn't because he was kind, it was because she was Makoto that he came. To him, she was someone special. Makoto asked whether she was special because they were childhood friends, or because she had become messed up. Takase said that was part of it, but not all of it. She asked him what the rest was. Takase fell silent. When Makoto asked what was wrong, he wanted to say that it was because he loved her, but the words wouldn't come out. It was such a short phrase, such a simple answer, yet he couldn't say it. He thought he must never say it. He believed that Makoto wasn't the one relying on kindness, it was him. Even though he knew she was suffering, he had stood by and watched. He was a coward who only drew closer when she was already broken. Even though Makoto would have been justified in cutting someone like him off, she stayed with him. For him to confess his feelings now would be selfish, greedy, and unforgivable. So he chose to stay vague again, offering comforting words that wouldn't cause trouble, convincing himself that his feelings didn't matter. As long as Makoto was happy, that was enough, even if he wasn't by her side. Even if he had to leave her. But when he imagined leaving Makoto, he realized he couldn't. He didn't want to. With teary eyes, he told her that what made her special was that he wanted to be with her forever. The moment he realized what he said, he panicked. Makoto asked what he meant, and told him to explain it clearly. Takase couldn't answer. He didn't know why the words had slipped out. Makoto's mother asked if everything he'd been bottling up had finally spilled out. Takase blushed and hurriedly explained that he didn't mean it in a dirty way. Makoto then asked if he meant it in a lewd way. Takase covered his face and said he was going home, claiming it was too much for him. Makoto's mother asked why he was leaving when he just said he wanted to be with Makoto forever. Takase told her to stop being pedantic. Before leaving, he told Makoto that he'd see her the next day and that they should walk together again like always, just the two of them. Makoto agreed, thanked her mother, and her mother began making strange noises, prompting Makoto to tell her to stop moaning and to give Takase a ride home. In the next scene, Take's sister, Mitaka, stood cutely beside their father and asked if he could give her more pocket money. He asked if he hadn't just given her some recently. Mitaka explained that she used it on necessary expenses, and that since she was a girl, at her age, she needed more cosmetics and things. Before she could finish, she was dragged away by Takase. He scolded her, saying their father was under their mother's thumb and completely penniless, so she shouldn't mooch off him. Mitaka replied that their mother would never give her pocket money, so asking their soft-hearted father was the standard strategy. Takase told her to lower her voice so their dad wouldn't hear. After arguing, Mitaka went back and asked again, saying she loved her father the most. He eventually agreed, saying he'd only give her a little, and she cheered. Takase warned his father not to overdo it, but he said it was fine. Then, he reached into his mouth. After a series of disturbing retching sounds, he pulled out a money pouch, explaining it was his secret stash. Takase told him it was gross and asked him where he pulled it from. His father explained that he tied the pouch with piano wire around a molar and hid it in his stomach. He added that his previous hiding spot, the sandal strap, had been discovered, but this method hadn't failed yet. He even recommended it. Takase told him not to recommend something so insane. His father handed Mitaka the money, and she thanked him enthusiastically. Takase asked if he was really okay with losing his savings, but his father said it was fine. He explained that daughters eventually stopped talking to their fathers, so if money was what kept her attention now, he didn't mind. The next day, Takase noticed his father looked completely drained. His father explained that Takase's mother found the stash and took even more energy than usual. Takase paled, realizing his father lost both his money and his vitality, and that he didn't seem well. His father said he would buy Takase's mother some sweets as an apology with the remains of his secret savings. As he walked away, he wondered if his wife would forgive him, and Takase wondered if his father was okay. The following day, his father looked even worse. His father said they made up, but Takase's mother was so happy that she drained him even more. Takase tried to stop him, saying he was getting drained no matter what. His father admitted that Takase's mother was insane, but that was why he loved her. He explained that she terrified him at first. She chased him, she controlled him, and she even trespassed. But over time, it became normal, and before he knew it, he was head over heels for her, and now he loved everything about her. He said that Takase's mother was a dangerous person, but that was what he loved about her. Smiling, he said he was going back again today to be attacked. As his father left, he said he'd go and continue his writing. Mitaka commented that their parents suited each other, like a lid for a cracked pot. Takase wondered if his father simply adapted, and he wondered how his dad fell for someone so troublesome. And he imagined how hard every day was for his father. As Mitaka thought about Makoto, she thought that Takase was the same as his father. At school, Takase complained that it was getting hot and that he had switched to short sleeves. Makoto replied that summer was almost here. In the classroom, the class rep greeted them and Takase commented that she was also wearing short sleeves. She said it suddenly got hot, so she changed. Takase agreed that it was really hot. And with a peek, he noticed Makoto was still wearing a sweater. He decided not to comment, thinking it would be insensitive to say something about a girl's fashion choice. But the class rep directly asked Makoto if she wasn't hot. Takase panicked, breaking into a cold sweat. He wondered if the class rep didn't realize how fragile Makoto was, or if she was getting too cocky because Makoto saw her as a friend. Before answering, Makoto recalled a memory. In it, Takase told her that they'd work hard together in high school. But she wondered if she would be okay. She asked if she was weird and if he hated being with her because of her scars. He told her that she wasn't weird, that he didn't hate being with her, and that she could always rely on him. When he saw that she was still anxious, he asked her if she was wearing a sweater, and she said that she was, since it was loose and it made her feel calm. Takase told her that it suited her, and that she looked super cute. And Makoto blushed as she asked him if he was sure. He told her that he was and that he felt like he got to see something great on the first day of high school. At that, Makoto said that maybe being in high school wasn't so bad after all. Back in the present, Makoto said that the sweater was her identity. Takase reminded her she took it off before, leaving her tongue-tied. She couldn't admit she exposed her sweaty blouse because she wanted to see if he'd react, so she said it was a whim. The class rep said that she didn't want Makoto to harm her health, and warned that it would be bad if she got a heat stroke. But Makoto insisted. So, Takase suggested surrounding her with icicles. The class rep remarked that Takase's IQ seemed to drop whenever it came to Makoto. At that, Takase asked her what her suggestion was and if she was just going to abandon Makoto to suffer. The class rep told him to be quiet, and added that she brought up the sweater issue because she already had an answer in mind. Then, she revealed the sweater and Takase asked her if she stole Makoto's sweater. The class rep called him an idiot, and explained that it was a custom version of the sweater. When she gave it to Makoto, Makoto noticed that it was different from hers. The class rep explained that it was a summer version of Makoto's sweater made with permeable fabric. She added that it was okay to say no to things she hated, but she didn't need to force herself to suffer. When Takase asked about what would happen when the summer heat became serious, and the class rep explained that she controlled the AC. She said that she would freeze the room without a care for anyone's lives if needed. Takase commented that her IQ seemed to be dropping and the class rep asked if he would choose others over Makoto. He said he wouldn't, and she called him an indecisive fool and an icicle freak. Makoto then asked Takase if short sleeves were weird and if he thought she looked better in a sweater. Takase said summer clothes would suit her and that they were cute in their own way. At that, Makoto decided she'd switch outfits soon, since it was hot. Takase asked her what happened to her identity. The class rep concluded that Takase was the problem. Makoto's identity depended on him. As Makoto lay on her bed, she lovingly stared at Takase's picture. As she remembered when Takase said that he wanted to be with her forever, she thought that meant she had become someone valuable and useful to him. She hugged her pillow as she laughed, saying that Takase needed her. She thought that if that was the case, then she had to live up to his expectations and that she couldn't let him down. Otherwise, he might tell her that she was a letdown, that he hated her for being a useless girl, and that she should get out of his sight. Makoto paled as she imagined being abandoned by Takase. With that fear lingering in her chest, she decided that starting the next day, she would work hard. The next day, she handed Takase a book. When he asked what it was, she explained that she had made prep notes for all of the day's classes. Takase was surprised, and he asked her if it was really okay for him to take it. She said that it was, since she had made them just for him. Takase thanked her, and as he browsed through the pages, he told her that the notes were really intuitive. He wondered aloud if he could truly accept them, then added that Makoto was really smart. Makoto laughed at the praise and asked if he really thought so. By lunchtime, Takase realized just how helpful Makoto's notes were. Makoto called out to him, and when he asked what was up, she handed him a jumbo-sized bento she had made for him and asked if he wanted to try it. He was shocked. She quickly added that it would be fine if he didn't want to. He hurriedly replied that he would take it, since homemade food wasn't something you got to eat often, and he decided to eat every last bite. When he was finished, he was so full that he couldn't even drink water. Still, he found the food unbelievably delicious. He told Makoto that it was amazing, that she was an incredible cook, and that the meal was at restaurant level. Makoto laughed giddily at the praise. During the afternoon class, a teacher enthusiastically announced that there would be a pop quiz, prompting complaints from all the students. After the test, Takase calmly stared at his score of 85. As he listened to his classmates complain about how brutal the quiz was, how they couldn't do anything, and how one of them claimed no one could succeed because it was a test given by the demonic pigtails, he smiled. Just then, Makoto called out to him. She told him that she had done her best, and he was surprised to see that she had earned a perfect score. Takase called Makoto a genius, and she blushed as she asked if she really was a genius. He insisted that she was and told her that she was amazing, since she could do anything she put her mind to. Makoto was overwhelmed as she received even more praise. Normally, Makoto's self-esteem was abysmally low. But when a string of compliments came from the boy she adored, her heart became elated, and for a brief moment, she slipped into her cocky, teasing mode. Takase cursed as he said that the pop quiz had been his strong subject, and that he had been confident he would win. When Makoto heard that, she called him a loser and asked if he was frustrated. At that, Takase's expression changed, and when Makoto noticed, she grew worried. When she called out to him, he said that she was right and that she could do everything, so she didn't even need someone like him. Horrified, Makoto grabbed onto Takase, causing him to ask why she had suddenly grabbed him. Makoto apologized, saying she had gotten carried away and that she wouldn't do it again. She begged him not to leave her and not to start hating her. Takase laughed it off and said that he was just joking, teasing her back because she had teased him first. He reminded her that back in grade school, they used to do it all the time. He told her not to worry, since it was just like back then, and that he hadn't changed one bit since those days. But Makoto told him that wasn't true, since he had become way cooler than he used to be. This time, it was Takase's turn to blush. Makoto told him there was no way he hadn't changed, while she, on the other hand, had become a mess. Takase said that he was fine with the present Makoto. He thought that this was how he would do it. Bit by bit, through moments like these, he would mend his bond with her. When Makoto asked if he hated the old her, Takase said that wasn't it at all. And Takase thought that if he continued like this, then one day, he would be able to tell her that he loved her.